Discover the miraculous journey of Dinah, God's plan for transformation, covenant blessing, and the struggle for identity. In the 3rd year of Jehoiakim, a time of unrest and brokenness, the land of Canaan still echoed the promises of Yahweh to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Among the encampments of Jacob's family, where the flocks rustled and the stars twinkled brightly above, lived Dinah, the daughter of Jacob and Leah. With the vigor and spirit of her strong-willed mother, she was a young woman ripe with dreams, yearning for adventure beyond the rocky hills of her family's herding grounds. One faithful evening, as the moonlight draped the land in silvery hues, Dinah's heart stirred with stories whispered by the winds of Canaan. A flourishing city called Shechem, where wealthy merchants and their rich feasts danced upon her imagination. An insatiable curiosity settled within her, driving her to venture forth into the bustling marketplace of the Hivites, a people whose culture flourished in stark contrast to her family's covenantal heritage. Amidst the vibrant market stalls, filled with colorful wares and the enticing aroma of spiced meats, Dinah's eyes locked with Shechem, son of Hamor, a prince of the Hivites. His charm was disarming, wrapping her in a tapestry of allure. As they exchanged glances, irony blossomed, for unbeknownst to her, the shadows of cultural divides loomed, her lineage steeped in the promises of Yahweh, and his grounded in earthly ambition. As Dinah traversed the streets of Shechem, her soul danced between two worlds, the solemn covenant promised by God to her forefathers, and her yearning to belong in this foreign city. Each day spent in the company of Shechem drew her deeper into a web of temptation, blossoming curiosity fluttering in her heart like a trapped bird eager for freedom. But as season turns to season, so too did the winds shift perilously, bringing stormy tempests unforeseen. A moment of unchecked passion unleashed chaos, as Shechem pursued her with reckless abandon. The whispers of her shame echoed back to Jacob's tents, disrupting their harmony and rousing her brothers Simeon and Levi from their slumber of familial peace. Enveloped in a mixture of anger and protectiveness, they resolved to avenge their sister's honor, torn between brotherly love and the righteous laws of their faith. Before we continue with this incredible biblical account, I want to make sure you don't miss any of these powerful scripture stories. Click the bell icon and select all notifications. These biblical narratives have transformed countless lives throughout history. If God's word through this story is blessing you, please like and share with someone who needs to hear about God's faithfulness today. Tell me in the comments, which biblical story has most impacted your faith journey? I'm always amazed how God's word speaks to hearts across generations. Now let's continue with what the Lord did next. As the stars emerged, piercing the twilight sky, Dinah found herself ensnared by sorrow, ponderous questions flooding her spirit. Alone beneath the vast, starry canopy, she wrestled with the enormity of her identity, reflected in the legacy of her father's God. Would bloodshed restore her shattered spirit, or would it further fracture their already fragile family bonds, jeopardizing the sacred covenant established by Yahweh? In the thick tension of the night, uncertainty stretched before her, only to be pierced by the arrival of her brothers, swords drawn, hearts burning with fury and conviction. The air crackled with impending conflict. The fate of their family and Dinah's future hung precariously in the balance. As dawn's first light began to adorn the horizon with hues of hope, one thought took root within her heart. In this divine orchestration, God was at work, weaving together elements unseen. Dinah craved restoration, yearned for understanding about the weight of her choices. The struggle surged within her, a yearning for acceptance mingled with the ache of covenant fidelity, as she stood poised at the threshold of transformation, awaiting God's next move in the unfolding narrative of her life. As the dawn broke over the fields of Canaan, the solemn faces of Dinah's brothers revealed their resolve, sharpened by the wounds of betrayal. Simeon's grip tightened around the hilt of his sword, and Levi's brows knitted in fierce determination. "How can we let this stand unchallenged?" Simeon declared, his voice thick with conviction. "Honor demands justice. Our sister has been wronged." Dinah, sensing the tumult within her brothers, sought to find words amidst the weight of silence that enveloped her. "Not by bloodshed will honor be restored," she implored, her heart leaping into her throat. "Shall we not be better than those who have wronged me? Must we descend into the same darkness?" The deep-bred loyalty of her siblings warred with the teachings of their faith, the covenant that stitched their family into the fabric of God's promise. In her heart, Dinah felt the tension of two worlds, the divine call to forgiveness contrasting sharply with the cries for retribution. Would her brothers heed the voice of a sister, or would they be swept away by the tides of vengeance? As the sun climbed higher, painting the sky with gentle hues of orange and gold, their footsteps carried them nearer to Shechem's gates, where moments before she had wandered, breathing shadows of enchantment. The laughter of merchants and the bustle of the market filled the air, a stark contrast to the somber purpose that propelled her kin forward. Reaching the city, the brothers halted, their vigil held in watchful silence. Their hearts beat a war drum of justice, echoing through the chambers of their souls. "Go forth, brother," Levi urged, nodding against the rhythm of righteous fury. "Seek the prince, and let him know the weight of our indignation." As Shechem approached, his confident stride belied the fury thrumming beneath the surface of the brothers' resolve. "Why have you come here, sons of Jacob?" he asked, an unsettling calm lacing his tone. Simeon stepped forward, his voice resonating with pain. "You have brought disgrace upon our sister, you who claims to love her. Tell us that you have repented of your sin, and let us find peace." A momentary shadow crossed Shechem's face, revealing the tempest brewing beneath his facade. "I am a man who desires Dinah as my bride," he professed. "I have sought to make amends. Let our two houses unite, for I will give anything to have her as my own." The brothers exchanged glances, their hearts wrestling with the law of the land versus the law of their covenant. Dinah watched, a tempest of emotions swirled within. Was it hope or desperation that lay within the offer of the Hivite prince? She longed to reclaim her dignity without sacrificing the legacy of her father's God. In that moment, a flicker of understanding ignited within her spirit. Dinah grasped the possibility that God could weave together threads of reconciliation even amidst violent temptation. "What shall we do with the honor of our family?" she whispered, her heart pleading for wisdom. As whispers of the struggle raced through the air, a divine tension filled the atmosphere, marking the crux of a moment that would carve her destiny. She did not yet know how God's plan would unfold, yet she felt the weight of purpose hanging in the balance. It would demand more than mere vengeance. It would require transformation, an offering far greater than blood, an act of faith in a covenant-keeping God. With imminent decisions looming, a new resolve settled upon her. Dinah saw the reality of her brothers, torn between love and vengeance. If she could stand firm for faith amidst the clash of cultures, perhaps hope would rise from the ashes of despair. In the flicker of a heart's yearning, the destiny of her family hovered on the precipice of divine intervention. As shadows danced on the city's backdrop, Dinah recognized that God's sovereign plan was unfurling in ways unseen. What waiting challenge would ignite the flame of transformation next? As Dinah stood in the shadow of her brother's fierce resolve, the turmoil within her wrestled with the weight of her identity. The shouts of the marketplace faded, and the world narrowed down to the space between her heart and the divine will that lingered just beyond her sight. Would she lead with anger or stand as a beacon of peace? Simeon took a step closer to Shechem, seething with conviction. "Your words reek of deception. Our sister is not a prize to be won. She is a daughter of Israel, cherished and protected," he declared, voice echoing with righteous anger. "What will come of your promises if they are built on the blood of our kin?" Levi, emboldened by his brother's fervor, launched his own defense. "We are not so easily swayed by pretty words. You must acknowledge your sin and seek true atonement. Our family's honor rests not just on your desires, but on your repentance." Dinah, her heart heavy yet hopeful, stepped between her brothers and Shechem, imploring them both. "Brothers, listen to me. Is there not a path that leads to honor without the bloodshed of innocence? Could our God not grant us wisdom to navigate through this darkness?" Her voice trembled, but resonated with a desire for healing amidst the strife. Shechem regarded Dinah with wary admiration, the fire in his heart dimming slightly at her courage. "Would you have me forsake my plea? I love you, Dinah. Let us speak of our union. I would prove my worth not just to your family, but to the God you serve." The brothers exchanged uncertain glances, a momentary wavering in their resolve. Yet the collective memory of their family's covenant with God hung heavily in the air, a reminder of their forefather Abraham's trust in the Lord. It was by this very covenant that Jacob's lineage would be blessed and called forth into greatness. "We will not rush forth into folly," warned Simeon, pulling against the tide of compromise that seemed to swirl around them. "Well then," Levi proposed cautiously, "if you genuinely desire Dinah, prove it to us. Let our families be united in covenant, yet let there be a sign of your sincerity, a sign of your willingness to abide by the laws of our God." As Dinah looked up at Shechem, she saw a flicker of fear and uncertainty. The weight of her brother's challenge hung in the air like a storm cloud, waiting to burst into either rain or wrath. "Shall he be marked by your covenant as we are? Teach him the ways of our people, and only then can we speak of such matters." Shechem glanced toward Dinah with an intensity that suggested he saw both her plea and the strength of her lineage. "What must I do to win your family's heart? Tell me what the requirements are, and I will fulfill them willingly." His appeal hung delicately, a thread between worlds of love and vengeance, of cultures clashing and intertwining. Dinah felt the heaviness lift momentarily, a sliver of hope that perhaps she could bridge this divide, not through anger, but through faith. "Our God has commanded us to live righteously. Such a union requires more than oaths of love. It demands a heart transformed and humble," she urged softly. As she spoke, the winds shifted unseen, guiding the family of Jacob toward a destiny beyond their comprehension. She knew that God's hand was aligning circumstances, yet what this would entail remained cloaked in a divine mystery. In that breathless moment, as silence fell over the assembly, Dinah recognized that the seeds of faith were being planted even here amidst discord. God's sovereign plan was weaving through their narratives, even in the midst of their trial. What divine purpose awaited them in the shadows of their hearts, and how would it reconcile the love of her family with the heart of the man who sought her? Thus, the foundations of a new chapter began to form, one where faith and redemption danced in tandem, and the swift currents of the Lord's will pulled them all toward destiny unforeseen. What awaited beneath this fragile truce, and how might God manifest His larger design through their obedience? As the sun sank lower beyond the horizon, casting an ethereal glow across the land of Canaan, the air thickened with anticipation. Dinah felt the pulse of her heart quicken in sync with the looming decisions ahead.
She witched the pallor of uncertainty, and a flicker of hope danced in her spirit. "Brothers," she spoke again with a newfound strength, "let us seek a sign from our God. He alone knows the intentions of our hearts." Simeon's brow furrowed, skepticism still clinging to him like a shadow. "But how can we trust this man who comes to us from the land of the uncircumcised? How can we bind ourselves as one with his people?" "Let our actions reflect the commandments of our God," Levi interjected. "If he desires a covenant with us, he must first understand the weight of our customs and faith. Let Shechem be circumcised as we are, that he may truly be counted amongst the tribe of Israel." Dinah's heart raced at the mention of such a serious commitment. Shechem bowed his head at this decree, the flicker of doubt in his eyes replaced by determination. "If it is the will of the Lord and your family, I shall do as you ask. I will embrace your covenant, and you shall witness my sincerity." With the arrangement set, Shechem departed to gather his men, while Dinah sought the quiet of the tent she shared with her family. As she knelt in prayer, she beseeched God, "O Lord, guide my steps in this tangled web of love and loyalty. May your will illuminate the shadows and bless this path toward unity." Her brothers returned soon, prepared to deliver the first step of their plan. The act of circumcision was one of deep significance, the mark of belonging to Israel's covenant, a reminder of God's promise to his people. As Shechem and his men fulfilled this act at their own peril, Dinah stood practically trembling, wrapped in anticipation. Day by day the healing began, yet within the hearts of Dinah's brothers a storm brewed. Despite their initial agreement, seeds of bitterness were still sown. They could not forget the offense done against their sister. The deep ache of their family honor clawed at their hearts, distorted their judgments, and clouded their resolve. One evening, as shadows crept over the land, a fierce conversation broke out within the tents of Jacob. "Is vengeance not justified? Shall we not protect our family's name?" Simeon growled, echoing the discontent that stirred in Levi's heart.
The weight of their culture's vengeance colluded with their love for Dinah, weaving a narrative of righteousness tainted with impending revenge. Yet in that moment, Dinah, empowered by the Spirit, raised her voice above the tumult. "Brothers, listen! God has led this man to us through the yearning of my heart. Could we not see God's plan unfolding through mercy rather than sacrifice?" The air grew thick with tension, as her brothers stood divided, caught between their anger and her plea. At that moment, God's silence loomed, pressing upon them with divine urgency, revealing but a glimpse of his greater plan. Was there more to Shechem's desire than mere affection? Outside, the wind whipped through the trees, as if the heavens themselves held their breath, waiting for the choice to be made. Dinah knew deep within her spirit that this was no mere turning point for their family. It stood at the precipice of something much greater. What would they choose? The shadow of devastation lurked nearby, yet God's sovereign plan called for a higher purpose. In this turbulent night, an eternal truth awaited discovery. How would their response shape not only their lives, but the destinies intertwined with theirs forever? As dawn gently broke over Canaan, the first rays of light bathed the land in gold, illuminating the faces of Jacob's family. The early morning carried a sense of urgency, for the decisions made in the dark hours would ripple throughout generations. Dinah awoke with an indescribable heaviness in her heart, and yet a glimmer of hope seemed to pulse within her, reminding her of the God who guides. In the quiet of the morning, she slipped from her tent, seeking solitude by the well where she often went to gather water. The coolness of the stones beneath her fingers offered comfort. She prayed anew, "O Lord, if it is thy will that I walk this path of union with Shechem, grant me clarity, for I am but a weak vessel." As she prayed, the morning dew sparkled like jewels on the grass, as if heaven itself bore witness to her supplications. But little did she know that lurking nearby, her brothers were convening once more, this time with a different resolve. "Let us rise before the sun is fully awake," Simeon urged, fury intertwining with determination. "We cannot allow our sister's honor to be trampled. The pain ignites my heart." Levi nodded solemnly. In their covenant lies a precarious thread, and we must act to protect both her and our name. They may think to embrace us, but we hold the mantle of justice. Thus, in a plot shrouded in rage, they gathered their swords, planning an act that would echo through the ages. Their hearts were darkened by vengeance. Blinded against the call of mercy and reconciliation, Dinah grasped with her spirit. But as they stirred to action, Dinah emerged from her prayers, sensing a rising tide of conflict. She hurried back to the tent where her father Jacob was in contemplation. "Father, have you heard their words?" Meanwhile, Dinah, wrought with sorrow and fear for her brothers, took a step forth, calling to them intently, "O Simeon, O Levi, in our quest for justice, do not forsake the grace that the Lord has shown us. Recall the covenant made with our forefathers, the very promise that binds us to mercy." Yet they were deaf to her entreaties, entwined in the web of their own anger. As Dinah's heart grieved, she cast her eyes upon Shechem, who remained steadfast despite the storm gathering around them. "Do you hear the cry of my heart?" she asked, desperation trailing her words. "Let love reign, for in love's embrace lies healing. Can we not trust that God's ways are higher than ours?" Shechem softened, his expression revealing a depth of love that transcended the feud. "I desired Dinah, not in secret, but in honor. I seek to be joined in covenant with your family. There is no purpose in division, only in unity." In the shadow of their looming decision, a stillness enveloped the camp, pregnant with potential. The whispers of God lay just beneath the surface, inviting every heart to choose wisely. Suddenly, the voice of Jacob rose above the still air, wise and weighted by years of divine history. "Sons, I plead with you. As our father Isaac entreated the Lord amidst anguish, so must we uphold our family's honor in righteousness. Let not your wrath consume you. Show mercy, that you might be upheld as a people of God." But spirits were conflicted. Would they follow the path of wrath, determined to preserve their honor, or heed Dinah's fervent appeal? The legacy of the patriarchs lay in the balance, each choice resonating with echoes that would linger through generations. And though the heart of the family teetered on the brink of chaos, a small voice whispered louder amongst the tumult, "What is to be of us if we turn our backs on kindness?" It was Dinah again, reaching into the depths of their souls. The brothers hesitated, swords grasped tightly, yet a swell of doubt arose like waves, crashing against the shore. Could it be that within the cords of vengeance lay the seeds of destruction? Shechem's words hung like ripe fruit, sweet and alluring, poised for the taking. As the tension reached a climax, a breath held fragile in the air, Dinah raised her hands, casting aside doubt and desperation. "In our choices lies the power to invoke God's favor. Do you not see? Love can break through the cycle of pain and lead us into a future filled with hope." And in that moment, as they stood poised upon the threshold between vengeance and grace, God's providence loomed large. Glory flickered in the distance as it beckoned the hearts of Jacob's sons toward an unseen resolution. But how would their choice manifest amidst the unfolding mystery of the Almighty's sovereign plan? What greater purpose awaited beyond the veil of their current strife, as the very foundation of their lineage hung in the balance? A divine tapestry was being woven, one that would bear their names, and perhaps the world,
into the annals of history nurtured by God's eternal purposes. As the sun began its descent, casting a golden hue upon the encampment, the air remained thick with anticipation. Dinah's heart beat steadily, a drum of hope amidst the clamor of her brother's wrath. The sound of steel clashing against steel reverberated in her mind, each strike echoing her pleading spirit. "Will you cast aside mercy for the fleeting moment of vengeance?" Dinah implored, her voice filled with grace and earnestness. "Is it honor to shed innocent blood?" Levi, torn between ferocity and familial bond, turned to Dinah, his expression a tumult of regret and fierce loyalty. "Sister, do not misunderstand us. We seek justice, not cruelty. But the heart longs for retribution. Have the flags of our ancestors not always waved high for honor?" Simeon interjected, clutching his sword tightly, unwavering. "Honor demands our blood, but I hear you, Dinah. You speak of love as a balm, yet our family cannot stand unmarred before the eyes of the world." Shechem, hearing the weight of their deliberation, stepped forth, his voice calm yet resolute. "I stand before you, not merely as a man who has trespassed, but as one who recognizes the error of his ways. I seek to make all things right, to unite us as one people, not in anger, but in covenant." At this, Jacob's heart stirred within him. He observed the rifts within his family and felt the gravity of their plight. Sons, what is a name if it is steeped in blood? Jacob's eyes moved from one son to another, reflecting the kindness of years past. Remember our father Isaac's resolve. He too faced valleys covered in shadows, yet he emerged in faith. Are we not called to do the same? Then a moment of divine silence fell upon their assembly, as though heaven was holding its breath, waiting for the hearts of men to align with the truth of God's promise. Suddenly, Dinah stepped closer, a gentle fire illuminating her presence. Love can kindle a flame where darkness reigns. You speak of names, but do we not carry something greater than mere reputation? We carry the name of the Most High. Her words, laden with the grace of the Almighty, found a place within the hearts of her brothers. A shift occurred. A glimmer of understanding sparked in their eyes, jolting them from the depths of their fury. Could this path, framed by mercy and love, yield a blessing far beyond their comprehension? "Let us then consider this," Levi breathed, glancing around. "If love calls for healing, and if the Almighty's favor rests upon unity rather than division, should we not seek God's way?" Simeon's grip on his sword relaxed, and though uncertain, he nodded slowly. "Perhaps a different kind of justice awaits us at the hand of the Lord. What if we seek reconciliation rather than war?" A cautious hope arose as the winds of the evening beckoned them toward the light of new possibilities. Dinah, sensing the turn of their spirits, spoke with fervor. "Let the covenant I speak of bind our families together. Let Shechem and I be the vessels of a new beginning, a testament to the grace that can redeem even the darkest of strife." Yet, even as she unified her heart with the desires of Shechem, a sudden dread gripped the air, a foreboding that lingered like a shadow. Dinah felt a stirring deep within her spirit, realizing that this covenant, born of love, could also awaken other forces. Then came a whisper, a gentle tug at her heart, urging her to remember the profound truth woven through their lineage, that one act of obedience to God's design could forge a legacy that transformed a nation. And as Dinah stood in the uncharted waters of their decision, she sensed the weight of the Almighty's sovereign plan unfurling around them. What misgivings may lie ahead? What trials would test their resolve? The veil was thin, and the path uncertain, But she believed with all her heart. The Lord's hand is on this moment, unfolding his promise in a way no man can foretell. What greater purpose might weave through the tapestry of their destinies, waiting just beyond the horizon, held firmly in the hands of an eternal and loving God? As the twilight deepened and the stars began their silent vigil, an unsettling quiet enveloped the encampment. Each heartbeat echoed like thunder as Dinah and her kin faced the precipice of destiny, the air thick with the weight of unresolved conflict. The elder brothers stood in a tense circle, their swords glinting ominously. Yet the flame of love ignited by Dinah's plea flickered with hope. "Shall we dare to believe in mercy?" Dinah's voice rang clear, a beacon piercing through the fog of anger. "If God has called us by name, are we not bound to honor him through our actions?" The men regarded her, their warrior hearts wrestling with her words as the moon cast its ethereal glow upon them. Each struggled with the raw desire for justice and the tender call of unity. At that moment, Jacob, worn with worry yet steadfast in faith, stepped forward, a patriarch's authority enveloping him. "Hear me, sons. Our family is a vessel of promise. How can we dishonor the God of our fathers?" Simeon, still conflicted, spoke through clenched teeth. "Father, the shame is heavy upon us. Can we truly walk forward as if nothing has transpired? I say we bind our wounds, not deepen them." Levi interjected, his voice trembling with the passion of a protector. "To take vengeance is to forsake our higher calling. Let us be catalysts for restoration." In the shadow of their deliberation, Shechem looked to Dinah with an earnestness that transcended words. "If we establish a covenant," he began, "this can be a testament to our commitment, an offering of lives intertwined for the glory of our God." Dinah's heart raced.
"Then let this blood bond be the foundation. Let it proclaim that even in our darkest hour we chose love over wrath. In our weakness he is made strong." But as the echoes of her voice faded, a whisper of doubt hovered like mist, challenging their earnestness. Go forth or retreat? Dinah felt the strain of the moment, as if the heavens were shifting above them. In her heart, a revelation swept over her, a sudden awareness that they were standing at a crucial junction. Beneath the stars that had witnessed the covenant of old, she recognized that their decision could ripple through generations, altering not just their family's fate, but the destiny of a nation. The brothers shared glances, understanding dawning upon them as they felt the sacred nature of their conversation. Each man realized that their unity was not merely about personal desires, it was about the divine narrative unfolding through their very lives. In this dangerous space, the words of Dinah pierced their facade, igniting a desire to fulfill the promise given to Abraham, their forefather. "Brothers," she said, emboldened by the unfolding revelation, "what is our legacy if we choose strife over covenant? Let us step into our heritage with courage. Let this day mark the beginning of hope." As Levi recalled past generations, he nodded slowly, his spirit now armed with a new-found resolve. We shall become a testament to what can rise from the ashes when God's people embrace forgiveness. Then Shechem, emboldened by the growing strength of their bond, knelt before Dinah. "Let this pledge be sealed with sincerity. I vow a life of honor to you and your family." At that instant, as Shechem's words echoed in the night, Dinah felt an overwhelming affirmation from heaven. The very stars seemed to align, and within her spirit she discerned a movement of divine grace, ushering in something profound. Through trust and love, a path was being forged that would summon the favor of God and bring forth transformation. Yet beneath that cherished peace lurked a profound stillness, the very air thick with anticipation. In the depth of their decision lay the solemn reality that great trials often accompany divine promises. But what lies beyond this moment? Dinah pondered as she gazed into the vast expanse of the night sky, sensing the weight of God's overarching plan poised for revelation. What would be the fruits of their choice? The uncertainty loomed, a divine tapestry yet to be fully unfurled, inviting them to trust in the Creator whose graces were woven into the very fabric of their lives. What greater purpose awaited them as they ventured into this binding promise, nestled within the heart of the Almighty? A legacy shrouded in mystery beckoned them forth, carrying the weight of divine potential waiting to be unlocked. As dawn broke over the horizon, the encampment of Jacob stirred with a palpable tension, the weight of their collective decision pressing upon each heart.
My sons, Jacob gathered his sons, his voice steady yet trembling with the gravity of their pact. My sons, today we stand on the brink of a new beginning, yet we do so under the watchful eye of the Almighty. We are the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and the covenant that stretches to the heavens. The brothers nodded, their expressions a mixture of reflection and resolve as the truth of their more destiny settled into their spirits. Levi stepped forward, emboldened by juxtaposition of fear and faith. Father, let us articulate this sacred covenant not merely in word, but through our deeds, as we honor the God who guides our steps. Dinah, emboldened by the solemnity of the moment, looked at Shechem with eyes that reflected both hope and vulnerability. She whispered, "We must not only speak of love, we must embody it. It is in our actions that the world will see the grace of God manifest among us." Shechem responded, "Let us offer sacrifices of thanksgiving for this union. Let our families bear witness to a peace that defies understanding." The brothers agreed, their hearts swelling with a newfound determination rooted in shared purpose. As they prepared for the act of ratifying their covenant, an uneasiness grew within Dinah, for she sensed that the path ahead was not without peril. That night, as they gathered for the ceremonial feast, voices filled the air. Laughter rang like silver bells, yet a shadow lurked in the corners, whispering doubts. Suddenly, an elder from their tribe approached, his eyes reflecting concern. "What shadow has fallen upon you, sons of Jacob? A union born of grace must not sow seeds of discord among our people." His words weighed heavily, demanding introspection. Simeon responded, "The spirit of division is no longer our master. We seek to be agents of healing." But within the hearts of the brothers arose the undercurrents of resentment, a darkness from the past threatening to spill into their present celebration. In that moment, Jacob, feeling the tension tighten in the air, raised his voice with patriarchal authority. "We have chosen mercy. The God we serve is not a God of vengeance, but a God of restoration. Let us not undo what He has woven with our own hands." The nervous energy escalated as tribesmen weighed the merits of the union, tribal loyalties flickering like candles in a gusty wind. Dinah sensed that their decision would reverberate beyond their families, reaching the very core of their identity as a people set apart for the Lord. As she surveyed the crowd, the Lord whispered to her spirit, reminding her of the promise made to Abraham, each descendant a light to the nations. She stepped forth, gathering her courage. "Brothers, neighbors, in this covenant we bind ourselves to more than just a union of families. We embrace the divine purpose woven into our lineage. What if our choices today echo through generations, altering the course of history itself?" A collective gasp resonated among the assembly, contemplating the weight of her proclamation. The tension palpable, yet hope surged like a flame in the midst of darkness. Then, from the depths of the crowd, a voice raised with skepticism broke through. "But what of our honor?
How will the past be reconciled with the present peace? At this, Dinah turned her gaze, fervent yet gentle. Honor is found not in vengeance, but in the embrace of love that transcends our pain. Our God's promise speaks of restoration, and today could be the dawn of redemption, a new start for us all. Her words pierced the hearts of many, igniting a reluctant spark within even the most hardened spirits. Jacob glanced around at his sons, his heart swelling with pride as he recognized the seeds of faith taking root. Through our choices, we can choose to walk in the ways of the Lord, shining His light in a world shrouded in shadow. As they gathered around the altar to offer prayers and sacrifices, Dinah sensed the stirring of something majestic in the air, a promise of God's unfolding plan whispering through the winds. Little did they know, their commitment held the keys to a destiny intertwined with the divine design, a poignant reminder whispered through history, a mysterious unfolding of God's will awaited just beyond the veil of their present moment. What unimagined paths would their choices carve into the annals of time? The journey of restoration was only beginning, and with it, a legacy of hope poised to emerge, inviting the generations yet unborn to partake in the profound blessings destined for the faithful. As the sun reached its zenith over the fields of Canaan, the warmth brought with it a settling tranquility. Dinah stood at the threshold of her father's tent, her heart swelling with hope as the murmurs of a new beginning surrounded her family. The covenant she had longed for was not merely a promise to Shechem. It was a declaration of faith in the God who wove destinies together, shaping a narrative beyond human understanding. Today, we choose life and peace. Jacob's voice rang clear, reverberating within the hearts assembled before him. His eyes scanned the faces of his sons, knowing the weight of their decision would ripple through generations to come. The choice between vengeance and reconciliation has been laid before us, and we must stand firm in our covenant with the Almighty. With Simeon and Levi casting hesitant glances, their earlier resolve to act through vengeance softened under the light of Dinah's unwavering faith. "Brothers," Dinah uttered, stepping forward with a heart full of grace, "this union is a testament that through love even the deepest wounds can be mended. Does not our covenant of promise beckon us towards restoration?" Shechem, standing by her side, nodded earnestly. "If this choice is to reflect our destiny, let it be one with sincerity, a joining of families under the guidance of the Lord."
With those words, hope began to thread its way through the assembly, weaving connections that would strengthen their united future. A rustle in the crowd heralded the arrival of elders from the tribes of Jacob, their expressions a tapestry of skepticism and curiosity. What honor do we bestow upon those whose lineage bears a scar? How can we trust you shall guard our sister's heart? The challenges they raised echoed loudly, but the spirit of reconciliation began to stoke a fire within even the most doubtful. Dinah's voice rang out over the murmurs, clear and compelling. "Shall we not venture forth in faith? Each of us bears the scars of our past, yet we stand here desiring to build something beautiful from the ashes. God has redeemed our hearts, and recognizing our legacy means ushering in a new chapter, a blending of our families amid the backdrop of His grace." As silence fell upon attentive ears, Dinah sensed the tension shift, hearts softening, receptive to the pulse of divine hope. A murmur of agreement rippled through as people began to turn their gaze from the hurt of the past towards the promise of the future. "Let this day be a festival of covenant," Jacob declared, the spirit of joy lifting them toward the heavens. "Let feasting and songs echo across the land. Our choices today will not only define our families, but also carve our names in the annals of God's greatness."
With the sun's light pouring abundant warmth over them, the people gathered, a mixed assembly of Jacob's house and the people of Shechem. Sacrifices were offered, prayers lifted, and tears of renewed hope flowed. Through their commitment, reconciliation emerged as the victor over strife. Dinah's courage became a bridge spanning deep cultural chasms, illuminated by faith. Yet as the celebration unfolded, within the hearts of the brothers, a warning still lingered. Each step they took toward unity was a choice to align with the Shechem they had once perceived as an enemy. "Will we pay the price for our past?" Simeon whispered to Levi, doubt creeping in the corners of their resolve. But Levi, fortified by the weight of Dinah's words, countered softly. "The greater price lies in clinging to bitterness. Let us allow love to work through us, turning our family into a lighthouse of hope among the nations." As the evening wore on, laughter echoed, and joy filled the air with melodic cadence. Dinah, spinning among her kinsfolk, felt the heavenly embrace of God's purpose knitting them together, a tapestry growing richer with every voice raised in celebration. It was a new season, ripe with possibilities, as they now bore witness to God's transformative power. And from that day forth, the union of Dinah and Shechem served as a testament to the world.
Generations later, the tapestry of their covenant would reveal the grace of God weaving salvation into creation through the lineage that blossomed from love, forgiveness, and mercy, a reminder that His plans transcend even the darkest of times. As they looked upward towards the stars, now twinkling brightly above, Dinah knew they had chosen wisely. They had embraced grace, honoring their covenant with God. In this moment of triumph, she understood the bigger picture of God's heart, that even in the shadows of conflict, the power of love and the binding promise of a covenant would not falter. The presence of the Lord nestled among them, affirming that this was but the beginning of their journey into His unfathomable plans. Now is the moment for you to be inspired by this unfolding story. Don't forget to subscribe immediately to our channel so you don't miss the next powerful biblical stories that will transform your heart. Leave a like now to help spread God's word through the algorithm and bring blessings to others. Comment below with your reflections on this story and share how Dinah's journey impacted your faith. Your insights are precious. And don't wait even one more second to share this powerful testimony with at least 5 friends who need to hear God's truth in their own lives. Let's spread the light of His love together.